Damn, dude. What the fuck were you drinking? Thank you. Gang, gang. Gang, gang. These nuts. Gang, gang.
Fat chicks to state them, no!
Sucks I'm out of shotgun ammo, but there'll be more. Wait, what the fuck?
I barely know you, but you seem cool. Here you go. What?
Sorry. I agree with Jay. Take that shirt off. Give me some money. Give me money, I'll take my shirt off.
Finally.
I did. You did. You did.
Oh shit! What up, Angel? How's it going? I gave up on VR. I'm still upset about it, but fine. Okay, fine. Yeah, I'll be right back. I'm almost ready.
Is that good enough for you? My shirt's off. We're taking a quick break. I ain't taking a break for shit. Alright, my shirt's off. I didn't hear any of that. I was too busy fucking stripping for you guys. Somebody clip that.
Yeah, our brother's dead. Sorry to break the news to you this way. But it's okay. Hey.
Hey, yo.
If you need anything.
Well,
okay?
I'm glad you're here. I don't know if you're in an ad or not, but let's wait for that to end and then I'll get started, I guess.
Whatever you need, babe.
Starts in 1 minute.
Whatever
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go to hell.
You're dead. Yeah.
Actually, let's go. I haven't been to the fireplace in a minute.
The guy was purple, okay?
Oh, you can probably hear the game audio, can't you? Can you? I don't know. But how you doing? You playing anything cool tonight? Are you on your VR chats? Are you in the digital realm? I wash my face and I don't know, I don't think this moisturizer is agreeing with me. You've been amazing? Hell yeah. I was waiting for the ads to stop. I don't know why it wants to open up with ads. Adi! How are you? I'm doing alright. I'm working on NT stuff. That's what I need to fucking do. I need to... Oh, man. I really need to finish that Game Boy Advance listing. It's like... It's still selling, but imagine if I had more. I just been so fucking busy. Like I was saying yesterday, you know what my most played game in like the last 3 weeks is? Tetris on this motherfucker. I miss Death Stranding. I don't know, maybe I'll play a couple hours after stream. I'll go to bed at 2. I'll wake up at 8 and I'll be like, why am I so tired? That's usually how I roll. Did the ad break start? Wait, you didn't snooze it, did you? Snooze it. Snooze it. I'll be lurking. Well, thank you for the lurk. I hope you are feeling okay. I hope you have a good night. I hope your book is the shit. I feel it. I keep getting super busy. Okay, there's the ad break. I don't even know if you can hear me. I don't have an ad break. Oh, it's here now. I feel like I keep getting super busy, but then I game all night, so I've been switching priorities. See, I can't do that. Like I'll play all night, but it's at the sacrifice of sleep, you know? Like I prioritize work over sleep. That's just to be how it is. Hi, Sherry. See, the second I start talking to you guys is when my cat actually wants to interact with me, and that's annoying. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll just sit here and talk to myself off stream, and then she'll start meowing at me, and then we can have a conversation. Anyway, I love you. Ayo Shuri, yeah, she's right there. Hi, I don't know if you can hear her. You might. But she's just staring out there and meowing at me. Bitch, you've been brushed, you've been fed. I hit you with the laser. Let's do it again. Go get it. Go get it. I wish you could see it. Actually, you could if I wasn't being a selfish dick and I moved the camera. But you don't get that. You don't get to look at her. Fucking cute. Actually, don't I have her little auto laser thing. It's like a little turret that just shoots lasers around. But ad break is over. All right, let's go. Sorry, Sherry. You get the sampler. Actually, hold on. Let me turn this on for her real quick. 1 second. Don't look at my pajamas. Yeah. Hope she likes the trio center. I'm sure she will. Thanks again. You said tomorrow? Right. And you know the best part about being able to stream from my PlayStation is I don't have to alt tab out of shit. I can just clicky click without worrying about it. But it's time. It is now time to finally play Resident Evil 7. I'm a little upset. It's not in VR. I wanted my VR stream. But for some godforsaken fucking reason, it just won't work and it pissed me off. Dude, I was so mad yesterday. All I want is the fucking hands up to block, you know. Want to be able to do this thing for my healing shit. I want to dual wield or something with free aim. Because if not, I could technically do PlayStation VR. And it's fine, it's serviceable, it's still spooky, but like you aim with your face. And dude, I tell you, after being in the RPD and like shooting with my hand and stabbing motherfuckers, I can't go back. That's what I wanted for Resident Evil 7. But I feel like a little brat right now. Oh shit, Jay, what up? So I was like, I was so mad, man. I was like, I want it. I was even like a little fucking brat. It was like 11. I was like, I guess I'll fucking stream some Kiwi game. I was so upset. But it is what it is. So you guys get RE7, the PS5 version from my PS5. Hopefully 8 works. I don't know. I'll try it again. But I have no idea what the fucking problem was. What did it do, Jay? Thank you so much for the sub. 15 months? Damn, it's really been that long, huh? You know what you get? Actually, let me do some shout-outs before I start. And because she was first... Boom! Oh, I've still never played this. It does look kind of interesting, but I don't know. It doesn't look like a Joey game. It needs more aliens and headshots and explosions. That animation is pretty cute though. And that one clip of that kid falling, y'all know the one. And then who else is here? Oh shit! All right, I know it's rude to put lurkers on blast. Fucking peek. I don't even know. Do you just climb? Is that the goal? Just keep climbing. I fucking love peek. But I see you, Jordan. I see you. Everybody, he's a talented artist. I've known him since like what, 2009. He does some art streams. He got me into Marvel Rivals. Blame him. He did it. Give him a follow. He's a good dude. Very talented artist. He's got a wide range. He can go anywhere from Sonic the Hedgehog to what was it? Little Nightmares to some pervy stuff, if you know what I'm saying. But no, he's really good. Good guy. Oh yeah, Angel, I think you know Jordan. You went to school with us. All right, and then next up we got Jay Conquers up with this motherfucker. Probably the most dedicated streamer I know, personally at least. Like this song. Yeah, he played through all the Castlevanias. Right now he started Final Fantasy Adventure? Yeah, because wait, I missed that clip. It's probably some out of context thing that Feels Dry probably did. I see you there. Yeah, everybody give Jay a follow. Give Feels Dry a follow, especially since he only streams based on like tiers of followers that he gets. So we won't get a Feels Dry follow until he hits... What's the number, buddy? What's the number? Where are we at? I know you're there. And then she rarely streams. I really enjoyed your Little Misfortune stream. But why don't you check out Adipop? Shouty. Oh, no clips? Damn it, you deleted all of them. Alright, well then, anyway. Since you're here. Me! Oh, fuck! Not this clip. No! No, I'm gonna turn it off. You guys don't get to see.
I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going.
Fuck. I don't want to hear it.
Come here. Oh, shit!
That was a real scream. But yeah, anyway, let's dive right into it. It's like that one soundbite, you know, and then, they say you're fine, you think you're fine, or whatever the quote is. But yeah, in all honesty, I'd rather just honestly do. I'm tempted to stream this, but I gotta finish Resident Evil. You know, I can't move on with my life until I'm finished Resident Evil. Not that I'm upset at it or anything. Hi, sure. It's just I'm on a mission. I have a purpose in life right now, and that purpose is to stream every Resident Evil. I don't care if it takes 2 years. I don't care if it takes a decade. It's gonna happen. I'm almost done. I have 7, 8, Remake 2, Remake 3, and then Remake 4. Those are bangers, but that is kind of a chunky. That's a chunk. Given I could finish either Leon or Claire's campaigns in 5 hours in 2. So that's, I don't know, like 2 weeks of streams. No, like 5 hours each. I can do roughly 3 hours to 4 if I'm feeling ballsy a stream. So that's like 2 streams per person. So that's a week. And then Resident Evil 3 Remake don't count because that's like a 4-hour, 5-hour game. I like it though. I do see people's gripes with it. Oh, fuck, that's right. So here's the thing. I already started streaming this in VR. At one time it worked. But then it doesn't work anymore. So I have to start over. They're gonna see me. You see me deal with this bullshit again. That's okay. I really do like this game. I think this is
I just wanted to send a quick hello and I love you.
for sure top 5. This is for sure top 5 Resident Evil.
Dude, yay!
Oh.
I cannot wait to be done with this babysitting job.
Did I have 420?
Loving husband.
No!
I miss you. I gotta get back to work. I love
You're 15?
you, Ben. I miss you so much. I
Yeah!
miss you.
Alright.
Tons of kisses. Bye, baby.
This is a really good video game. I love it. Oh wait, you're starting from the beginning? Right on, brother. Thanks. Like I really do like I think this has one of the strongest openings in the franchise as well.
I shouldn't have.
I just wanted to play it in VR. I'm not over it. I'm gonna be bitching about this for like months.
Stay away.
I don't know what the fucking problem was. I don't know. But yeah, I'm starting over. This would technically be my second stream of Resident Evil 7 because the last time I tried this, it didn't fucking work. And then one, it was like more of a test. Like the FOV was way high because like when I play VR, I'm like in my chair, you know.
Yeah, no.
But the FOV was so high that I guess you guys were able to see that my hands were just dangling off of the fucking, you know. I'm like, eh.
She's back.
So Paul ended up saying it looked like I was zombieing through it. That made me laugh because you guys can see my limp hands in there.
Maybe it's a prank. She wants me to come and get her.
Where is she?
Somebody better come get her.
Dulvey, Louisiana.
Dude, it's been 3 years.
I know, but what if it is her?
Right on,
I
brother.
have to find out what happened.
Do you know Prof or Professor? I don't know what to call him. He's a rapper. He has a song that I heard that cracked me the fuck up because he opens up with that. He's like, right on, brother. He'll say something else. He's like, right on, brother. I was like, this is my anthem right now. I love it. That's my line. Wait, the right on, brother? That's my line. First of all, technically it's Hulk Hogan's line, but what you talking about? Somebody come. Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah, I just be like talking. Also, what's with this frame rate? Hold on, can I fix this? Oh, Like, oh, it's the fucking soundbar. I'm gonna crash out, as the kids say. It's fine. It's fine. Actually, I should have tested this. There's something I might be able to do. It looks better for you guys than it does for me for some reason. Fix it. We can wait. All right. All right. I'll be right back. Let me try something. I'm gonna try something. Oh, geez. Chat, just be patient. He a baby. I'm just a little baby. All right. Also, I need to make sure that it looks okay for you guys. Until the symbol's barely visible. Dang, that motherfucker ain't visible at all. Oh, there it is. Okay. Let's say that's barely visible. That's fine. Okay, and then options. Sons of bitches. Hold on, I might actually have to. Here. Ah! Ah! Let me try something real quick. Something went wrong. Fuck off. It's okay. Wait, what do you mean? I didn't unplug the HDMI. I didn't unplug the Ethernet. Oh. 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 Okay. Is the audio gonna fix itself? My game's drunk. Oh, for fuck's sake. Nothing works here. Cause, alright, what happens if I... I should just... You know what I should... I should just play the PS4 version of this piece of shit. Ah! Okay, I'll skip the cutscenes. It's fine, I'll deal with my fucking 30 frames like a peasant. Get the fucking cutscene. Shut up, I'm not your baby.
Just wanted to send a quick hello.
I hate you.
Love you. Oh, good news. I'm gonna be coming home soon.
You look weird. Your lip syncing's weird.
I cannot wait.
I can skip these.
Babysitting job.
Alright, sorry guys, sorry about that. It was a detour of pointlessness.
I gotta
You know what I'm gonna do?
I love you, Ethan.
I'm gonna,
So much.
next time, it'll be the PS4 version, so I have a respectable frame rate, and then I'll just transfer my save. I think that's a thing between these, if I remember correctly. I'm never gonna fucking finish this goddamn game. It's okay. Shut up. I don't care. I saw this already.
You were right.
I am being a little baby, aren't I?
I shouldn't have. All I can say is that if you get this, away.
Is it the HDMI cable? Is it the... I'm gonna hit something. It's on a fucking... Oh man, my Sheila. Oh, is it working? Okay. I thought it crashed. That's a fucking...
Hey, it's
I thought it crashed. Sorry about that, everybody.
You alright? You just disappeared the other night.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. It's Mia. She's not dead. She's alive. She's back.
They found her?
Woosah!
I don't know. Look, I don't know how, but she's back. She's back somehow. And maybe it's a...
I think I have a
prank.
beer.
She wants me
My
to come and
last
Where is she?
one. The
get her.
last melon.
Dulvey, Louisiana.
Dude, it's been 3 years.
I know, but what
Can I
if
skip
it is
these?
her? I have to find out what happened.
Everybody shits on Ethan. I like Ethan. Ethan's alright. People are like, he has no personality. I was like, have you heard him cuss? Of course he's got personality. He's fucking goober, and I love it. Ethan's the shit. Ethan's awesome. I like Ethan. He's just a man trying to save his bitch, you know? And then the second one, he's just a man trying to save his daughter. Okay, I was like, what the fuck? Because the stick wasn't working right now. But yeah, next time I play this, it will be the PS4 version. I just keep downgrading. Because I don't have to worry about HDR, I ain't gotta worry about fucking ray tracing. It's just gonna spit out 60 frames a second, and that's all I want. I was looking for you guys. Does it look alright? You guys are more important than me here. I just want you to enjoy the show. Sewer Gators, episode 17, sneak into Louisiana ghost house. Schedule equipment. Okay. Also, I like how that cursive that's supposed to be handwritten looks like font. I couldn't get somebody to just write schedule equipment and scan that in. Alright, whatever. Join us. Join us. That's what I imagined from Evil Dead. Fixed? Sorry, I got up for a little drink. No, it's not fixed. Actually, I thought it crashed on me too. I was about to freak the fuck out. But no, it's not fixed. So it might look okay for you guys, but it's a solid 30 for me right now. Frames. And I don't want to spend the time to install the PS4 version of this because I'm on a schedule. So we're gonna tough it out. Unless it looks like shit for you guys. I think I could just fucking... Also, what are you drinking? Not ray tracing anyway. Maybe that'll help. The main menu. Fuck! This looks like shit. I'm out of here. Thanks, Jay. Love you, buddy. Does it really? I can't tell when you're... I think you're joking. Nah, it's fine. Okay, good. Thanks, man. Is it fine or... It's fine! It's fine! Because that was me. That was me trying to fucking play this in not VR. I just like this game so much. This is a great game. This game makes me happy. Also, where's that smoke coming from? I don't remember all that. Oh, I do. How's your night going, dude? Tequila and tropical punch. Is it Hawaiian punch? Yep, that's her all right. That's my Mia. Christ, my cat is insane right now. I'm playing PSO with my other black friend. What's PSO? No, it's Winko juice. It's like cracked to me right now. PSO, PlayStation Online. You gamers and your abbreviations. And it's just online. Oh, okay. Actually, I should have known that. Wait, you play Fantasy Star Online?
Fuck!
I fucking love it. Yeah, Angel plays with it, plays it too. Hurry, stop it. Ron Ephenia. I didn't know you played it. They playing it's 2, right? Isn't 2 like the only one that's running? I don't know enough about it. It's free to play, right? And whoever thought 30 frames was acceptable? Oh yeah, I would love to, but I don't have it installed. I hope you're having fun with it. Is it on Steam? Hey, where did I go again? Oh yeah, there's this door right here. And then hopefully I can just bypass the fucking thing. Grab this. My Mia. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? It's a fan server. PSO is old. You can install and play for free. Nice. But I'm gonna check something real quick. I'm gonna see if I can, in the meantime, install the PS4 one. PlayStation Plus. This was on PlayStation Plus once? Download. Alright, bet. I'm gonna do it now. So annoyed. Nothing works around here. But yeah, I think I can just grab this. Yeah! I ain't gotta do nothing. I ain't gotta do nothing. Sigilyph? Oh, dude, that's a good Pokemon. That one, lets you draw cards every turn. Oh, what the f— It's dark. Camera wobble, phone icon. I just, oh, off. Okay. Brightness. All right. Even that one little tick, I can see the difference. Yep.
Damn it.
I can't wait for 9. Have you guys seen that new gameplay stuff for Requiem? It looks really fucking good. That creepy thing following you. Yeah, this part was better in VR. This game is better in VR. But it's okay. That ship sailed. Joey. Fuck you, Sigilyph. Arnar. That's got little maggots in there. Good night, sweet prince. Wait, why am I stuck? Are you fucking serious? Wait, okay. Hold on, Jay. Y'all playing the PSO GameCube one or the PSU 360 one? I don't remember this. I don't think I've ever seen this before. That's her family, and is that like the mold? Looks like a... nothing. Because let me find out the right one. I might be able to find it tonight and join y'all. Yeah, let her know, Jay. I like how instead of sending spam, it just says meat. I'm not wrong.
Mia?
Also, I don't remember this game being this dark so early. It'll brighten up. I mean, it looks fine for me. It looks about right. It looks 2D. Now, the thing pissing me off right now is the frame rate.
Mia, thank God I found you.
Ethan? Ethan?
Are you alright?
You shouldn't be here.
What do you mean? You contacted me.
No, I wouldn't. Did I? Did anyone see you? Did he see you?
What the hell?
Her hair's twitching.
Daddy's coming. We need to go.
First of all, I'm
We
daddy,
need to
bitch.
go now.
Daddy done came.
Where are you taking me?
Someplace safe.
Are you gonna tell me what's going on?
Sorry, I was in a boss fight. Yeah, you better be sorry.
Baby, you've been gone 3 years.
3 years?
Answer the woman, Jay.
Really been 3 years?
Blue Burst, the PC version, easy to install on a fan server called Affinia. I should make note of that. I'd be down to play. It's not tonight.
What is this place? What'd they do to you?
Not now.
Or from the
Let's
PlayStation.
get out of here first.
Yeah.
This way.
Good? You okay? You okay, Pumpkin?
Mia, we have to talk.
Defeat the first boss. I started a new character tonight. Nice.
That wasn't me.
But you did.
I didn't.
Okay, fine.
Look at me when you talk to me.
What's going on?
I'm telling you everything that I know. We have to go this way.
They got stuff in jars here. Is that brain? Intestines? Looks like octopus, kinda. It's got the little suckers, you know? Bloody! What'd it do, Jigaboo? This is calm.
Are you sure you know where you're going?
I gave up on the VR.
I need food through here.
I'm playing the PS5 version in 30 frames per second, unfortunately. But I think I could transfer my save. So what I'm doing is I'm downloading the PS4 version right now. I don't have to worry about HDR and ray tracing. The game will actually run at a respectable fucking frame rate. I have it on PC, but it wouldn't launch. Sure, you just scurred. No, dude, I was so stoked. Don't worry, your secret save with me.
This is it.
I'm already triggered, bloody. No, I was so excited, man.
I remember this room.
It's like Kevin Sorbo meme. Disappointed. E001.
It's gone. It's gone.
Triggered. Yeah, a little bit.
We're gonna be a family.
Got you, Jay. I might check it out.
You're here. There's another door here.
What are you up to, bloody? You playing E33 tonight? I mess with this one, then she's gonna get tooken. She's about to get tooken. Yep.
Mia?
CG time. Oh shit! Are you streaming tonight? Like a stream siege. Wait, we're going the right way or we're going backwards? Oh, here we go. Yeah, for now. Nice, nice, nice. Well, if you're live by the time I quit, I'll raid you. tight, 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 tight. Not interested. No, thank you. Nice. Nice. Oh, it's this way. And then Zoe's gonna call. She's like, "You never get out of this house alive." With her fucking accent. I can hear it right now. Maybe not. This is where my bitch scares me. BBL. What's the open out? Oh, lurk. Okay. Do you mean BRB? That's a pretty face. You back later? Oh, okay, okay. I was thinking about Brazilian butt lift. Oh, Jesus. She's so hot. I'd hit it. With my Kia. Would. BBL. Alright, see you in a bit. Fuck off!
I can hear her. I can feel her clawing her way back inside.
Oh, like I never noticed her like nose and eyes start bleeding right here. I don't think that's good for you. Stop it. Dude, that reminds me of this one time my nephew, I forgot what happened. He got scolded or something. He got frustrated and he did that. He banged his head on the wall once and he started crying. I was like, "What the fuck you doing, dude?" Stop it. It's under my wheelhouse. I don't know what the fuck. Yeah. I was like, "I don't know what you're doing. What do I do? Mom! Yeah, go get your fucking kid." Over dramatic, yeah. This is harder not in VR also because I can aim better about these. You can aim significantly better with your fucking actual arm than your little fucking thumbs. Bitch. Oh, this is our first fight? I want a divorce! Just punch her in the face. Jesus Christ. You're just like your mother! Mia, eat a Snickers. You're a bloodthirsty ghoul when you're hungry. Love you. Alright. Alright, don't call the cops. We can hide the body. It's already been missing. Me too, Mia. You never get out of this house alive, or however she says it. It sounds kind of like Cartman to me.
You really shouldn't have come here.
Who's this? And what the fuck is going on?
My name's Zoe. There should be a way out through the attic.
Attic.
Go there. Now.
Oh, oh, oh! Where'd you go, Mia? Where'd you go, you bitch? Mia? Mia? Yeah. How's the PS4 version going, huh? Wait, isn't that actually... I thought I downloaded you. I thought I downloaded you! Let me see. Let me check something. I'm like the worst streamer right now. I'm so obsessed with this. Downloads. Downloads. Motherfucker. Or is it copy? A DNS server can't be used. Instead, we select manual and IP. Yeah, it's kind of like exposing my IP address and shit. You can't always get what you want. But if you try sometimes, you get what you need. Which is Resident Evil 5 and 30 frames per second. I mean 7 and 30 frames per second. I know words. I know words. Alright, this bitch is gonna pop out, right? Ah! Okay, I thought so. She pops out around the corner around here somewhere. I think I gotta find the fuse upstairs and then I forget. I like how I just played this and I already forgot. That's me! Oh, I gotta save. So I need a fuse. There we go. Alright, alright. What are you lolling? Can't do new save. Did I max out saves? Dang, look at that. Look at that. It goes back as far as well, the PS5 version would have been 2022. Yeah, let's override it. Let's do it. The same as these, I can't remember shit. Oh, okay, okay. I just wish I had a proper frame rate. I can deal with like no ray tracing and aiming occlusion and all that cool shit. Just give me fucking frame rate. All right. Ah! No, hold on. Wait, what do I do? Hold on. I don't need the VHS tape. I go in here. I need a fuse so I can go upstairs. Okay, I heard something. Something clicked. All right. There's probably something else up here. Let me see. What are you up to? What are you playing? You just drinking and hanging out? Well, cheers, brother. Yeah, where's that fuse? I don't. Oh, okay. I gotta go to the doohickey. Cheers. Right on. I gotta go to the cabinet or whatever. I remember. Let's run this last bit of designs. I want to play The Sims. Nice. I see you. Dude, I haven't played The Sims since like Sims 2. Even though The Sims 1 is my shit. I can still hear the shopping music. Boo-doo-boo-doo-doo. Boo-boo-doo-doo. You know the one. Okay, discard this. I don't need your email. Fuck off. I don't need your ID. All right, I'm gonna get my fucking hand stabbed with a screwdriver.
It's okay.
Hey.
It's okay. It's me.
Hey.
I know you didn't mean to hurt me.
You're beautiful, babe.
You shouldn't have done that.
Never mind. What do you see in her? I just love how, you know, when she gets upset, she turns into Freddy Krueger all of a sudden, you know? Her eyes turn black and her skin turns gray, and then it just the butterflies in my stomach, you know? Then there's this one time she cut my hand off with a chainsaw. That was when I knew she was the one for me. Nice. My hand! I hear Liquid screaming that right now. And you know, the best part of this, I can actually give myself the stranger now. Somebody better come get her. That's all I know. There's more to that song, isn't there? ammos. Got some nachos. I did actually watch that movie. I like that meme though. All right, and then
Fine.
I want it to force. You want some of this too, mannequin? You want some too? But yeah, after stream, what I might do is if I can't transfer my save, I will catch up wherever I'm at off stream by tomorrow's night, and then I'll continue on with a better frame rate. I am in a mood. Goddamn. It would be such a big deal if at least the PC version would like launch. I looked into it. It's like apparently there's a thing where like I guess you have to disconnect from the internet and then it'll launch. I'm like, fuck you. Goddamn ham, motherfucking ham sandwich. Ah! Ah! What the fuck? Fucking the over me that fast. Fuck off. Oh god. Oh god, oh god, oh god. Ah, wait, where's the door? Where's the— oh no, wait, fucking fuck off. Stop it. Yes, you got it. No. Shit, 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 shit. Any more ammo? Oh, wait, I'm trapped. Is she coming through here? Is she coming? Oh, she's behind me. Fuck! Stop moving! I need ammo. I don't think I ever ran out of ammo during this fight before. Alright. Alright, I hope you like fucking... Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! You dead yet? Are you dead yet? I think I got her. Oh, I love you too. Stay down, whore. Alright. I thought there was more ammo. I don't think I ever ran out of ammo during this fight before. It also could be because last few times I played this game, it was in VR, where it's easier to aim. I'm never gonna let it go. Wait, Jack, no, there's ammo in here, no! Hi, Shuri. Come here. Yeah, if you want pets, come here. I'm not gonna come to you every time. Why are they like this? There you go. Come here. See? Dum-dum? I can't pet you if you're 10 feet away.
Come on. Don't you die on us now. You have work to do.
Yeah, I do.
Where am I? What the hell?
Why is she typing on the meat? She's like, if you notice, she's like,
Where's Mia?
Eat it. It's good.
Dumb some bitch wasn't no good if it hit him.
Lucas!
Kid boy's got to eat. He got to have his supper. Come here, boy.
My controller's probably gonna vibrate, but I'm checking my phone for something.
Feast. I'm a boy.
Hmm.
God damn it. I bet it's that cop again.
God damn.
Oh, okay.
I'm coming back for you.
Hey, Grandma. Mwah. This is dark. Actually, this is too dark. Hang on. Oh, yeah, Brendan's down here. This is not visible, but I don't care. I can't see shit. There we go. And that's what's up. God, this frame rate is terrible. Why was this ever okay? There's PS1 games with 60 frames per second. Saw $24.99. 24.99. That's how math works. Yeah. I mean, at least I can still do math. Is this a receipt? Oh, this is a receipt. Okay. I see. I thought like Jack was doing math. We got saw, rope, and pet collar. Kinky. He's got 20 of them. Damn, bruh. All right, we got tripas. We got a lot of intestines actually. Lots of tripas. Got an herb. Got that herb, dog. Smoke weed every day. Got a boot. Oh my god, we hit a boot. Where's the foot? That's like my favorite line in fucking Scary Movie 1. When they're doing the whole I know we did last summer bit, and they're like, oh my god, we hit a boot, and they pull the boot out. It's like, where's the foot? It's the best. Since slapstick comedy is actually back with Naked Gun, I'm really looking forward to Scary Movie remake or reboot, whatever the fuck they're doing, the requel. Oh yeah. Back. You coming? Coming. Oh, Lord, you coming. Please don't come this way, though. No. Oh, shit. Do you see me? Okay, got the key. Yeah, cool. Fuck it, I don't care. Get him a fucking ham sandwich first. Hey, what up, B90? How you doing, man? Wait, what? He doesn't see me, does he? The music. Actually, he spotted me. I didn't do nothing. B90, you fucked me. B90, this is your fault. Crouch. Haha, bitch. Fuck you. Ah! What up, B90? Leave me alone. Get wrecked. Fuck you. How you doing, bud? Ah! Do I have any health? No. Oh man, I'm dying too. Jack. Damn, dude. Okay. Good man, and you? I'm doing all right. I don't remember the last time I died here though. You saw that. I was in the corner and he's in the other room and he was like, there. I was like, God damn it. I'm doing all right. I'm a little disappointed tonight. Not gonna lie. I have my reasons. Hacks. Yeah, you got them cheat codes on. This was supposed to be a VR playthrough and I'm playing it on console with 30 frames. And I'm upset. It's okay. I know what the problem is. I'll fix it next time. Okay, yeah, fix this. Yeah, run and hide. VR not working. No. So this game has VR. VR is officially, technically, exclusive to PlayStation. So I could do PlayStation VR, but no. And I was doing VR. I did a VR test with this, and it was working just fine. But for some reason, every subsequent attempt has been. I'm gonna reduce my computer's resources to like 3%. So I was like, I can't do none. I couldn't even quit. The frame rate was garbage. And I was trying, so I have a Oculus 2. And I was trying the MetaLink. That was a nightmare. And then I did the virtual desktop, and that was working a bit better, but still wasn't enough. And I inevitably just gave up. What? Aw, Dead Wolf. Thank you for the raid, man. Here. You know what that gets you? Thanks, man. Thank you for the raid. How you doing? How was your game? What were you playing? Helldivers 2? Yeah, I gotta get back on Helldivers, man. Did you get the Halo DLC? Oh, is that Exoprimal? If they just called it Dino Crisis, I probably would have tried it. It's not out yet. Oh, I didn't know that. I don't know when it's out, but I did update my Helldiver. Oh, shit. Did you see me? You can't see me. At least I don't think it is. I don't know if it is or not. Breaking shit. Go in the other room, Jack. Go in the other room, Jack. I'm trying to sneak by you. Did he? Back? Okay, he did. All right. Fuck you. Baka. No. Do you see me? I don't think he's... Yeah, I can. This is one of my favorites. Resident Evil 7? Yeah, dude, this is absolutely one of my favorite Resident Evils. This game fucking books. Alright. And I gotta go... I don't know where he's at, though. Played it 5 times? I played something like that, too. I'm gonna go over here and hide again, though. I need to wait for him to get back in the hallway. Oh, shit. Where is he? Jack? Jack, I need you to fuck off. Okay? I need to get in that room. Okay. Oh, God. The champ has been caught. Don't you dare come over here, Jack. You can't see me. Oh, God. Hi, Shuri. Fucking Jack. Jack. Oh, shit. That was close. Yo, how's your night going, bud? He sees you. Will you call me fat? Fuck you, Jack. Oh, shit. He saw me. Ah! No. Fuck off. Fuck off. No, 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 no. No! Leave me alone. Jack. Jack, stop it. Jack, eat a Snickers. You're a dick when you're hungry. Ah! Ah! No! Jack, stop it. I'm gonna die again. Oh, this is that part. He smelled you? Yeah, I probably smell like shit right now. Good. This part's actually kind of rare from my understanding. There's this sequence right here where he teases you. It's sucking. Yeah, I am sucking right now. Rixie! Can one of my mods give Brixie a shout out? Grab my leg. Yeah, this one is fun. You weren't using that, right? How you doing, Brix?
Hakuna Matata.
Oh shit, that scared me. Hold on, that scared me. What game is that?
Sorry.
Well, hi everybody. My name is Shattered Limit. I'm a variety streamer. I took a 3-week break. It was not planned, but it's okay. I'm back and I'm playing Resident Evil. I'm gonna play all of them, and I was doing it before Moist Critical. God damn it, I'm just slow.
What the fuck?
All right, Jack. Thanks, Jack. Ah. Okay. Do I have? Okay, I did unlock it. You can burst through the wall. Through the wall. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Bye. Oh, he's like power walking. Ah! He's right behind me. He's right behind me. Yep. Hi, Brixie. Okay. Okay, all right, I made it. I'm doing good. How are you? I'm doing better. I'm a little annoyed that this game has been like the bane of my existence as far as streaming goes, but it's fine. I just wanted to play it in VR, and then Fate said no. You're getting all the coins? I mean, if I find them. Should I look up a guide? I mean, I'm pretty thorough for the most part, but I don't think I've ever found all of them. But yeah, this was supposed to be a VR stream, but it broke. Get the fuck out. Get out. Okay. Have you played this with motion controls? Technically, I have. What up, Paul? How you doing? Very nice. Also, since this is a new game, technically not new game plus. Yep. Let's see, I got some. I never did either. I missed a different one each playthrough. Yeah, I feel like that's what happens, right? It's just like, oh, there was that one by the whatever. Like you keep missing them. But what up, Paul? How you doing, man? You know what's funny? So this is a PS5 version, but for some reason, it's not running at a high frame rate and won't let me. It's like, cause your fucking hardware, we can't. I'm like, I didn't fucking do nothing. So I'm actually downloading the PS4 version. So next time I stream this, I'm gonna downgrade again so I can have a respectable frame rate. Anyway, yeah, this game's been pissing me off. So no more VR. The game is still cool on VR though. I don't know what the problem is. It just wasn't working for me. Like I was saying, like it bogged my my resources down to like 3%, and it took forever to load. And like the frame rate was like a frame a second. It was awful, man. It was fucking awful. I don't know what the problem was, because you saw I was able to do it that one time, kind of. I was gonna reduce the FOV. It was gonna be perfect. It was gonna be fine. But no, I'm not allowed to enjoy this game in VR. I'm not allowed. I'll try it again. But yeah, right now this is the PlayStation version. Put some spec on that frame rate. Tell that frame rate to put some spec on me. It was unplayable. It was so slow. I had to hard reset my computer. Like I couldn't quit the game. It was like hanging for like 20 minutes. I was like, fine. I'm still mad about it. How am I gonna cry? Because if you cry, then I'm gonna cry. Then I'm all gonna cry. Where's that phone? Where is the phone actually? Is it in here? Okay, the phone's over here. It's in the kitchen. Say it with a Trump accent. Say what? I'm not gonna cry. Because if you cry, then I'm gonna cry. This game has tremendous frame rate. It's the best frame rate. We're gonna build a wall, and the Mulder are gonna pay for it. What the fuck is their phone? Oh, is it in the living room? Am I tripping? Wait, hold on. Where is the phone? Keep ringing. Oh shit, what's this? Safe room. Oh, is it? Oh, it is. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Thanks. Thanks, man. Even now, it sounds like it's coming from like over there for me.
Zoe, right? What the fuck are these?
Shut up and listen if you want to stay alive.
Oh my fucking god, I love your Trump accent. My Trump accent's garbage.
All right.
It did sound weird. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Don't lose it. It's important.
She kills me every time.
Hell of a girl.
I know a guy, his name's Chris Redfield. He's part of the BSAA. I don't know. Oh, and then this is where the cop shows up in the window. Sick. I actually need that. I need it. Garage. Is that what that says? Oh yeah, I need a knife. Okay, but I think I have to go down here. And then he shows up. I'm trying to remember the order of operations here. And Grandma's missing. Grandma, come back. Oh, yeah. I remember. I technically do have a gun now. Oh, but I can't shoot Jack. Like, that's a waste of money. Or, ammo. But, thank you for the raid, Trevor. What are you up to? You calling it? And you, Angel, you playing your Sims yet? You know what's depressing? These look like really nice people outside of the fact that they're infected. Waiting for food and working on cosplay. Oh, what's your next cosplay, dude? Yeah, dude, in the lore, these guys welcomed Evelyn and Mia into their home, and then now look what happened. Like, these are lovely people, and look what we did to them. Look what we did! Oh, I just keep this in my inventory, don't I? Okay, and then I have to block. I have to go. Oh yeah. Wait, where's the block button? There it is. Oh my fucking god! And then I take less damage. Okay, that actually scared me. The shadows over there. Hey, you. Cheers. Cheers. Here's my last beer.
Hey, over here.
What's up, nigga? Looks like Ice Cube, kinda. Looks like a young Ice Cube.
Back up. Now, sir, do you live here? I mean, is this your property?
What? Me? No. No.
All right. Now, we got several calls about some missing persons lately.
You don't understand. I gotta get out of here.
Calm down.
Hey, Trevor, are you watching Alien Earth? It's very good. It's really cool.
All right, let me tell you this. You don't exactly seem like you playing with a full deck yourself, all right?
Are you kidding me?
Look, like I said, we've had several missing persons calls. And I can't rule out that an outsider like yourself may not be involved.
All right. I'll tell you whatever you want.
All right. Now, that's more like it. Now,
And more like it.
overall,
What's it on?
You gotta give me your
Prime? It's an FX show, and I think, does FX have their own streaming service? It's FXX or whatever they call it, but it's on Prime. You can watch it on Prime.
Right. Deputy.
And I'm really digging it so
Want to
far.
see my name in the obituaries? But you want to be a hero and save my life? A fucking pocket knife?
Here. Take it.
It's okay, I have a gun in my inventory from my last playthrough.
Now.
What am I gonna do with a knife?
Stab someone? No imagination with this guy. Quit sucking. What do you mean quit sucking? I'm doing alright. Dude, I haven't played this with my thumbs in forever. That's why, like, the last 3 times I played this, it was like on PlayStation VR. Tell him that. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Hey, hey, hey. And like, quit sucking! Bitch, give me your sidearm. I know you got a shotgun in your car. I want to watch the live action movies again. They're dumb, but they make me happy. Also, I don't like, look at this scene. Look at how this scene is framed, okay? There's nobody behind him. There's nobody behind him. You don't see nobody there. But he still gets snuck up on, and it makes no sense.
We gotta get the fuck out of here.
Let's check this out. I modded my Gohan Pop to look like the first time he goes Super Saiyan. Oh, dude, you should upload a picture.
And tell me. Answer my questions.
You're not gonna believe me if I told you.
Try.
And also, what food are you getting?
Hey, put that door back.
Yeah, look at that. Jack teleported. Even though that's a very cool scene, I ain't even mad about it. Ice Cube, no! Fried chicken, sick. From where? Ah, ah. Wait. Your mom's house? Oh, nice. Tell her I said hi. No. Oh, shit. I was supposed to be in the car. I'm doing everything wrong right now. No. Fuck off. Fuck you. 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 Oh, God. Oh, fuck. I don't have any more healing. Stop it! Oh shit! Oh fuck! Is he gonna kill me? I'm not ready to die! Fuck! He killed me. Chicken shack. Oh nice. God damn it! This is most I've died in forever. You wanna know why? Because I can't aim. I move like molasses, and it's like I'm aiming through. Whatever. Quit sucking, Joe. I got it this time. You got it, dude.
Hey, we gotta get the fuck
Ice Cube, no.
Doing out here alone in the middle of the night.
Me? What about you?
No, it's my job. Won't you do your job and tell me? Answer my questions.
You're not gonna believe me if I told you.
Try. Hey, put that door back. Put that door back. Wait!
Guess you got it quick. Was that Dr. Zoidberg reference from Futurama? Did I go whoop 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 whoop? Because if I did, then probably. Like I said, I don't know. Most of my jokes aren't intentional. I just be like saying shit. But yeah, that sounds about right. Alright, Jack. Ah! Fuck off. You baka! Baka! No. Fucker. It sounded like him. Yeah, I think I probably did. I want to get in the car. Can I hop on anything? Can I? You fucking cunt. Stop it. Ah, stop it! Oh my god, I'm gonna die again. Oh! Oh my god. Man, it's just a walking punchline, isn't it, fam? Hey, what up, Ninja Dog? Yeah, I know. I'm a big joke. What up, Ninja? How you doing, dude? Long time no see. Hopefully I beat him this time. Alright, tell you what. I won't rush to the car this time.
We gotta get the fuck out of here.
To get some distance between me and him. Because I remember I could drive the car, and then he gets on top of it, and then I'm like, he starts steering me. Like, I want that part. That part's easier and better and cooler. Oh yeah. So I was being a text. Been moving house, can't wait to get out of the old place. Neighbors are nuts, lol. Ooh, tell us what happened. Oh shit, okay. Alright, bye. Jack. It's your car. Yeah, I noticed. Okay, now's my chance. I think. I hope. Alright. Yeah! Alright, cool. Have you seen Peaky Blinders? I saw a little bit of it. I saw the memes and stuff. Is that the one with Cillian Murphy? Or no, Peaky Blinders, is that the one with, what's his face? Shut up, Donnie. What's his name? Steve Buscemi. Is that the Steve Buscemi one, or is that the Cillian Murphy one? Now imagine the Descendants of Peaky Blinders, yeah, but infested with, infested with American hood culture and addicted to hard drugs. You guys got hard drugs over there? Nice. Oh, dude, Ninja, random, but I finally saw Layer Cake. It was very good. I saw Layer Cake last weekend, and it was fucking awesome. But yeah, that sounds terrible. I like how he's steering the wheel, but like I'm still willing to fucking hit the gas and brakes.
Let's finish this, you and I.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. You and I. You okay? You okay, Jack? Jack! Not you too, Jack. Oh wait, no. I'll never let go. Where's the gun though? I want that gun. The gun's right here. Don't blow up. Got it.
Oh boy! Now look what you've done, motherfucker!
Oh shit. Alright. God damn, Jack. Let me go! Cool. Tight. Alright, Jack. Pleasure doing business with you. Always a lovely time. You stay there, okay? I'm gonna go rob you. Need some chem fluid. Definitely gonna need one of these. With the way I be playing. Alright, I think we're good. Alright, and then a little parting gift. There you go. Alright, bye.
Do I have your attention, boy? You're about to see some more. Fuck!
It's pretty hardcore. Good night, sweet prince. Mwah. Imagine the sense of Peaky Blinders, yeah, but infested with American hood culture. Best hood culture? Oh wait, get it. American culture has ruined London, bro. Well, I didn't do it. Is it okay? And what is it? Just popular there? I don't get it. Explain. Because it kind of reminds me of you know. I can imagine. But I have no clue. Gangs, drugs, murder, bitches. Sounds amazing. Oh. Doesn't every country have that? They use knives instead of guns. Oh, then it's not American culture. This is a gun household, okay? Knives are worse though. I feel like knives, like I'd rather get shot than stabbed. Nah, this is directed, influenced by hip hop from the 90s. Dang, you guys gotta catch up. But yeah, speaking of gangs in London, I saw Layer Cake with Daniel Craig for the first time, like Sunday. Movie rocks, dude. You've heard of drill music? I've heard of trill, but no, I don't know what drill music is. Is that like, dude? Okay. I think British rap is cool. Like it's so like it's like proper and cool at the same time. A little goofy. But I was playing Blood and Truth, and it's nothing but like fucking British hip hop, and I was like, yeah. Let me go save the item box. Drill is London's version of gangster rap. Yeah, I think I have heard it then. I don't have a shotgun yet, so you go in there. Okay, a functioning replica of anti-bioweapon handgun. Even though it's a replica, it still packs a punch. Should I use that instead of, you know? Let me try it for now. Antique coin, can't use you yet. But I'll go back to MTV and Sky TV from the 90s. That sounds kind of cool, dude. That's where it all started. Sick. Oh. Combine that and then that should be fine for now, actually. But how's moving, dude? How's the new place? Yeah, I used to rap and listen to rap, but now I'm grown now. Nice. Oh shit. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Save. Way nicer and very quiet. How humid is it there in London? It's supposed to be pretty humid, right? I only know because like, no, I'm only curious because I went to Orlando, Florida, here a couple weeks ago, and it was humid. It was weird. I don't live in London. Where do you live? Is London the humid one? I don't know. I don't live over there. Scratch that. No one lives in London. They subsist in London. Oh, really? Is it still like the fucking like the Black Plague era? Everybody's got tuberculosis in the streets. They're like, it's like that. London is a ghetto, bro. Well, the movies make me think it's cool. You said Black Plague, not me, fam. It's just I have like this mean impression of like Cockney, you know, because they all sound like gutter people. They're like, hello, my name is. That's what I imagine. The London you see in the movies doesn't exist anymore. Oh, that's unfortunate. Are you close to London? Where do you live exactly? Is there a particular city? Over 20 years missing in over 20 missing in 2 years. Captain Howell, the state police from reporters have started a search for Helen Midkiff, a college student from North Carolina who was traveling to Louisiana. Miss Midkiff Has been heard of since the night of the 21st. Reports of missing persons in South Louisiana have increased dramatically in the past 2 years. The majority of those missing people are tourists and vagrants. At least 20 people are thought to have gone missing so far. Police suspect foul play and believe there may be a connection between the incidents. Plans are in place to step up local interrogations and increase personnel to further the investigations. Alyssa Ashcroft. Alyssa, no! She dies in 9. Nearer to Manchester, which is also a shithole. Not quite as bad as London, but very close. That's fair. It's probably like Vegas here, where it's like, you know, you see Las Vegas in the movies, and it's just like, you know, a bunch of like Frank Sinatra music and gambling, but that gets old quick. Now it's just a bunch of like hookers by fucking Home Depot and 7-Eleven. It's dirty. Have you played Resident Evil 7 before? I mean, nothing. I could use some hookers right now. I mean, nothing. Shoot me, shoot me. I'm gonna stab you instead. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. I don't know why I imagine Homer Simpson. He's going, hookers. Antique coin, bro. 8 is a lot better. 7 is my favorite. I think we've actually talked about this. 7, I love both. I think 7 is the... Okay. I think 7 is the better Resident Evil experience, but 8 is like the better game, if that makes sense. Because like 7's fucking scary to me. I like the tone. I love what it did for the franchise. 8 is like, all right, sorry guys, we made it too scary. Let's make it RE4 again. 7 has like 4 enemies, bro. Yeah. I will say, yeah, the enemy variety isn't great. There's the molded. There's the molded. There's the fat molded, and there's the tall molded, and then there's like 3 bosses. So you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Did my daddy give you a hard time?
That's your father?
First of all, I'm daddy, bitch.
I'm sorry, but he's dead now.
You just might be able to pull this off.
What? Pull what off?
There's something I need you to do, but I can't explain it right now. You may need some sort of keys to do it, but find a way out of the house.
Okay.
I'll be in touch.
Yeah, but the story is super fun. Levels are top tier. In which one? Resident Evil 4 Remake was the best, though. Resident Evil 4 Remake is pretty sick, yeah. Good job, too. They ruined Resi 2 Remake with that old bullshit. Resi 2 Remake wasn't ruined. What are you talking about? Resident Evil 2 Remake's, like, one of the best Resident Evil games. What bullshit are you talking about? Exactly. And are you talking about the story in 7 or 8, Trevor? Yeah, it's a mediocre Dead Space game with a police station map, bro. That's I would say an unfair comparison, because Resident Evil or Dead Space was literally Resident Evil 4 in space. I don't know. That's like you're going backwards there. I would say Dead Space is Resident Evil 2 or 4 with spaceships. There might have been some cross breeding or whatever with influence, kind of like how because like, you know how Uncharted came out and everybody was like, it's Tomb Raider, and then they rebooted Tomb Raider and everybody's like, it's Uncharted. It's kind of reminds me of by aping Dead Space in their Resident Evil 2 remake, or they are going backwards by... Wait, what? Do you see the new horror game like Dead Space? You're not talking about Callisto Protocol, are you? That's like 3 years old. Is there a new... What's it called? I don't know. I might have. Maybe? Callisto Protocol was pretty good. My thing with that one was it was gorgeous. It was actually pretty spooky, but like the combat does not change at all. The stuff you're doing in the first 20 minutes is the stuff you're doing at the last 20 minutes of the game. Listen, bro, when I shoot a zombie in the head 8 times and they ain't dead, your game's not to par. I'm sorry. That's a fair comparison, but it's a balance thing, dude. So it's like when you play the original Resident Evil 2 and you're doing the tank control stuff, it's third person. It takes 8 bullets to shoot the zombie. I think they just updated that. If you want, you can just play it on pussy mode and put it on assisted, but it's balanced. And I also think that's a dumb thing. So yeah, I get it. You shoot zombies in the head, they die, but it's a video game. It's interactive. There's balance. Get a better weapon. If you have a shotgun, it's 1, you know? It's only with the handgun that issue exists. Oh my fucking god, I'm crying at the Uncharted and Tomb Raider line. It's true though, right? When I'm playing a zombie game, it takes less bullets to kill them in the knee. It's just not okay. It doesn't take less to shoot them in the knee and kill them. You can incapacitate them. There's cool ways you can do that too. You can use a knife and like make it to where like they just literally can't walk around. But I disagree with that, which is fair. We're allowed. Takes all colors to make this beautiful rainbow of ours, you know? So true. No, I think Resident Evil 2 Remake is one of the best in the franchise. But, you know, not everybody's got to agree. It's okay. I do see your points. One of my best friends, Lemon Wedges, that bitch, he also shares that same sentiment. He's just like, dog, I have to kill him. Like, it takes too much or whatever. But I'm like, just get the shotgun and that's fine. By the end of the game, you're not even using the fucking handgun. If you are, you're doing it wrong. That's all I have to say on that. It's a balance thing and it's a progression thing. So like once you, oh shit, you scared me. Hi grandma. Mwah. Miss you. So yeah, you get the gun, the handgun, and yeah, it does take a lot to down them. And then even then you can like incapacitate them after like they get down, but until the head explodes, like they keep getting back up. But you know, get a shotgun. The thing about Resident Evil is not just about like the combat and the killing, it's about resource management, and that's where it ties into it. I would say Resident Evil 2 Remake is one of the best balanced games we've ever fucking gotten. It's like, at least in the first stretch of the game, you're like, dude, I have like 3 bullets, but it's like, it's intentional because it scales, you know, it scales the damage to the resources, to the where you're at in the game, to how well you're doing. Resident 2 is a classic, still talking about it 30 years later, even has a modern remake. The remake, however, mediocre trash. No one will be playing it in 30 years. That is bullshit. that's bullshit. People will be playing both in 30 years. It kind of reminds me of this one thing. So it was during like COVID and like 2018, 2019, like before that. I remember I was like really on this PS2 kick, and one of my friends, he was like, "Hey Joey, what have you been up to, man? What have you been playing lately?" I was like, "I've been playing a lot of like Sega Genesis and PS2." He was like, "Fucking why?" PS5 is about to come out. He was like mad at me. I was like, "I'm fucking sorry. Why would you want to play Resident 2 Remake when the original is better and the remake of 4 blows it out of the water?" That's completely subjective, man. Because here's the thing: people play games for different reasons, and I would say both the remakes and the originals are viable. You know, if you want the graphics, if you want the tone, the horror, play the remake. If you want the camp, the cheese, you know, play the originals. Like, they're both good. And there's the thing, the remakes don't replace the original ones. I could tell you prefer the originals, except for 4. Yeah, but if you ain't fucking with the original, I don't care for your opinion on the remake. You know what I'm saying? I fuck with the original. You know who you're talking to? I like all Resident Evil. That's why I'm doing this. I like both. I'm trying to defend both here. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to like knock you or anything like that. I respect your opinion, I really do. But both remakes and the original ones are fantastic games, and they will be being played in 30 years. 90% of people who defend the remake of 2 haven't played the original. Well, I'm in the 10% that has. I don't think the remake needs defending, bro. I think you're in the minority here, in my experience. That's fair. Chronos New Dawn. I have seen it, actually. It does look cool. Yeah, no, I like both. And I do see your points, but I'm just saying, like, both have their fans, both have their place, both are good. And if you're talking about 3, I can see a lot of arguments against the 3 remake, even though I still like it. Yeah, I'm still defending the remake for it. Remake isn't where it needs to be. What would you change? Because if you make it to where the zombies die in one hit, then B campaign's butchered. I think you're saying butchered. That's fair. I can see that. Okay, that is a point for the original one. Not to say that it makes the remake complete shit, because it doesn't. But Power and A campaign would bring back the A and B campaigns properly. That is something that I did think they dropped the ball on. If you played the A campaign, you played the B. You know, it's not as different. The zapping system isn't kind of as good as it was on PS1. But I don't think that negates the quality of the remake. I would turn the lights back on. See, now that's the thing. I actually like what they did with the lighting system in the remake of 2. I think it's gorgeous. The ray tracing in that game is really great. As long as you're playing on PC. For some reason, the console has like these like crawling ants thing with the lighting. Lighting was fun. Yeah, lighting was good, man. I think it helped with the tone. It helped differentiate it from the original one. I don't want my GPU melting when it's too dark. Get a better GPU. What are you talking about? What are you rocking? I didn't think dark is scary. No, that's fair. Dark isn't scary, but I think it helps with atmosphere and tone. The game has beautiful volumetric lighting, great particle system with like, you know, dust in the air and stuff. With your flashlight, you know, you get your, like I said, volumetric lighting. Watching a zombie silhouette form into my flashlight is fucking great, you know. I don't think they're necessarily trying to make it scary that way. I just think it adds an element of, you know, desperation, graphical fidelity, you know. It's not about the GPU, about the point of rendering all these nice graphics when making it all black so you can't see. But you can see. I don't get your point. Turn your brightness up. Reports say a storm's coming. I had a lot of trouble cleaning up after the last one a few years back. I guess it's time to reinforce the windows of the shore up to the roof. Maybe I'll get Lucas to help. Lighting isn't so impressive. I'm like, wow, flashlights and shit. BioShock does lighting better. Did you see the text? Are you talking to me or are you talking to Ninja, Trevor? I did see the Chronos New Dawn. Is that what you're talking about? Because I did see a little bit about that, and it does look pretty cool. Are you getting it? The water is finally receded. The house is aight, but the old house is badly damaged. Lucas is making a fuss about a huge ship that's washed up in the bayou. If that's true, I better report it to the parish. I'll go check it out tomorrow. Ooh, that's when it happens. Oh, shit. That scared me. Nice. I actually think this is about where Jack shows up again. Gunpowder. Is it? It's gunpowder and chemicals? Does that make the ammo? It does, right? What are you doing? What are you doing? You pee on that couch again, we're gonna have some problems. It's okay. I love her. Even though I was a little upset when she did that. I was like, I thought we had a deal, dude. I feed you, I play with you and help you survive, and you don't pee on my stuff. How about that? Yeah, I get why they put Mr. X in the campaign, because modern gamers probably won't replay it anyways, but come on, that's the entire problem with the remake. It panders to modern gamers over OG fans IMO. Well, I mean, times are changing, man. Like, if you want to play the original one, play the original, you know? Mr. X in the campaign, I thought was actually one of the better additions to it, because it adds, like, this constant threat, you know? It's the pursuer, it's basically Nemesis again, and I thought that was really cool. It'd be nice if it was only in like the B campaign or something to help differentiate it, but that doesn't. If times are changing, stop making Resi and make new games, isn't it? Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's different. It's a remake, but it's like its own standout entry in a way. If you are so caught on the past of it, then don't play the remake. It isn't Resi 2. Well, tell that to the cover. Tell that to Capcom. Not my Resident Evil 2. And there it is. There it is. That's fair. If you don't like it, that's fine. I will say you're in the minority. You have valid criticisms, but I still think that it's a great game in its own right. And it did a lot to kind of differentiate itself from the original. It's a remake and a reimagining, you know? It's not a HD port, you know? Like I'm saying, if you want to play the original one, play the original. But to say that Resident Evil 2 is a bad game is insane. Okay, but Einstein was in the minority. I don't get that. I don't know what your comparison is. Because he's a genius. Because he was in the Manhattan Project. I don't understand the correlation between Einstein and Resident Evil. You're saying I'm in the minority. You are in the minority. I think the vast majority of people thought the Resident Evil 2 remake was awesome. So was Einstein. Yeah, Einstein is in the minority. Oh, I see what you're saying. That's a false equivalency. But it's okay. It's okay. I could tell we just don't see eye to eye here, and that's fine. That's what makes this world beautiful. It's the differing opinions. It was, but it could have had more. You're talking about the remake of 2? I mean, every game could have had more. This game could have had more. Oh, fuck. This is where Jack shows back up. I know it. Like, I'm not disagreeing. It's just, I think that there's, what do you call it? Like, an exaggeration. Blowing things out of proportion when it comes to it. I want more of these down to your chin. Same. Remakes 2 and 3 were supposed to be packaged as one game, and then they split it for money and didn't finish either. So, well, I'd say 2 was finished. 3? No. Also, there was different teams that worked on 2 and 3. 2 and 3 were developed almost concurrently. There was some overlap, which is insane why 3 still had so much cut content. It's still a good game, but yeah, it is missing a lot when compared to the original one. That's a discussion that I don't blame people for disagreeing with it. I was actually thinking about 3. Oh yeah. So not finishing half of the game's missing. Yeah, that's I'm agreeing with you on 3. The cut content, yeah, the clock tower, the not the zapping system. What do they call it? The live system? What do they call it when like Nemesis shows up and you're like, oh, do you fight or do you run? You know, that kind of stuff. 3 is disgustingly linear compared to the original one. That's true. But 2, I think 2 is great. 2 is good game. All right, this is where motherfucker shows back up. Oh, and let's just give a small mention to Ada Wong wire hacking device. What's wrong with that? It was fun. Not even going to comment on that. I mean, I can tell your mind's made up. I don't see what your issue is with the Ada stuff.
My little girl has given us a gift.
And this gift. Where do I go? I'm scared. Where's the map button? Where's the map, Scott? No, I didn't mean to waste that. Fuck. Hey, y'all. I like my. Oh, that's me. That's funny. It's still purple. I thought it was you. Well, it's Daft. It's just Daft. Oh, you're so British. I never said Daft like that before. Not without talking about like Daft Punk. Do you ever go, are you mad? If you do, I love you. 1998, it's Daft. Bet. Crocodile as a quick time sequence. Oh yeah, Daft. I get it, man. I do get it. I'm giving you shit, but like I said, teach their own. I love remakes too. You don't, and that's okay. Also, Daft is cool. You should say whack. They're whack in there.
Who builds this shit?
Alright, let me go save. I'm a little annoyed that I wasted my healing. See, here's the thing though. I'm not saying it's bad. It's good enough for people to think it's good. But see, that's the thing. It's like you're not even complimenting it. And you're like, it's good enough to where idiots think it's good. Resi 2 iconic classic. It is. Which is what merited the remake. And that's the thing I'm saying too. It's like the remake doesn't replace the original one, you know? They're both two flavors of the same story, you know? There are pros and cons to both, I would say. Is he upstairs or is he downstairs? Hold on, I'll read that in a second. I'm scared. Ah, fuck you, Jack. Fuck you, Jack. Fuck you, Jack. Get in there. Get in there. Get in there. All right, cool. I think I'm safe. And I think making a remake of Resi 2 warrants honoring the original A and B system. I mean, they tried, and I do agree with that. The A and B system in the remake is not nearly as expansive as it was in the original one. Because there's the whole A, Leon, Claire B, Claire A, Leon B, and that's gone basically. So I do agree with you on that. Nope. Open. There might be more in there. I'm trying to remember because I know in here if you use the what do you call it? There's like a drug. There's a pill you can take that makes you see all the items that are like kind of hidden. If you know where they're at, you can find them. The problem is I don't know where they're at. Oh, I don't know where they're at. Let me close the fridge on it. That's a lot of beer, man. Damn, dude, these guys are on the fucking David Hasselhoff diet. I need an item box. You know what else I need, guys? To pee. I'll be right back. Be right back. What does that whack even mean, though? I think whack and daft are kind of the same thing. Where it's like whack is like, man, there's whack. It just sucks, you know. What's daft mean? Hold on. I think I know what daft means. I think silly, foolish. Yeah. Whack is daft. Daft is whack. All right, I'll be right back. I gotta pee.
These are scones. Well, I'm American. Gets biscuits.
You boys want a pee cam? When? When? Right now. This is it. Take you guys with me, all right? I like the Joker video, you know? I'm a man of my word. And this is for you, Cyber. Let's see. Camera's not big enough, buddy. I'll need an upgrade. Here, try. This is for you. I'll hawk Tua for you.
What game is that? I guess I shouted out Pokeball or Pokecatch. That's funny. And then I heard that, I was like, oh shit, like, is my fire alarm going off for a second? That scared the shit out of me.
Am I going the right way? Wait. No, I can't go up. Why can't I look up and go there? I'm trying. Don't you dare. Don't you dare fail me, game. Don't you fucking dare fail me. This is on you, not me. Fuck! You fucking bitch. I can't aim up. How am I supposed to to go there if I can't look there? I thought I was going the right way.
This is amazing. Oh, what up, Salt? Do you go by Salt or Tofu? I've been teeter-tottering. How's your day going? Paint me like one of your French girls. Can I? Promise?
So,
I agree with all city improvement plans.
I agree with Jay. Take that shirt off. Give me some money.
To know you approve.
Give me money, I'll take my shirt off.
Finally,
I did. You did. But that wasn't on the table at the time. You had just been a good friend.
You lose everything you worked for your entire life. But I don't have to tell you what that's like. It really makes me wonder.
Is that good enough for you?
Time you spent in that
My shirt's
ark
off.
been a burden to you.
We're taking a quick break. I ain't taking a break for shit. Alright, my shirt's off. I didn't hear any of that. I was too busy fucking stripping for you guys. Somebody clip that. I'd pay thousands to suck dick. What? I'd spend so much on BJ. Don't touch me. Oh, fuck. What? What? Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Saw nothing. I meant to do that.
Hey. All right, sorry. I actually realized I was a little hungry, so I'm making a little snack. Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Daft is an actual word being used properly in context. Whack's a word.
Oh shit.
Whack has different context too. You can whack like whack a bowl, or
Joke's on you. I'm
like that's just whack. Also, you spelled it wrong. Whack. In this context, I think it's just W-A-C-K. Trying to figure out where that's trying to figure out how that's whack came about.
Joey.
I don't know. Slang. It's just slang.
Are we doing that?
It's just slang.
Voice competition thing right now? Maybe see the French.
Know what I'm saying? Feel me? You get me? Boy. Alright, be back. Sorry, guys.
Amazingly engrossed like that.
Without her face, from inside box, scent of mommy, maybe true mother there. Stone box hard, it hurt, steel rope in the way. Can't see mother because 4 stones. Yeah, not only is like half my friends' grammar bad, they also don't use punctuation. So I feel like I have to read their text like this sometimes, not naming names. Still would. Oh god.
Yeah, our brother's dead. Sorry to break the news to you this way. But it's okay. Hey. If you need anything, okay? I'll be here for you, okay? We're gonna get through this, alright? Whatever you need, babe. Whatever you need. He looked pretty dead, yeah. The guy was perfect, okay? It's okay. You need a shoulder to cry on. Mine's always open.
Like break the TV?
You the man now, dog. Sean Connery. No, one of my favorite lines in the whole franchise of 007 is the "That's a Smith and Wesson, and you had your shit." And he like shoots it in the back twice. I was like, my man. Must be dreaming. But this game is less Sean Connery and more "Hello, baby." I'll make you ready.
I'm in a room full of multi-billion and bearer bonds. Must be worth hundreds of millions.
I'm screaming, Joey. Yes. Oh, so it is this. It really? I don't know. I don't think I might have seen it, but I didn't register it. First one. Period. I was not aware. Thank you for teaching me. Now I know. Now I know. And knowing's half the battle. The other half is violence and murder. What am I doing? All right. Shit.
Okay, alright. Yeah, right. Hello, egg on my face. Crumpets. These are scones.
How many are there?
Well, I'm American. Biscuits.
He's coming out of the glory hole.
Get back in your glory hole, chicken.
Cock is going in the glory hole.
In Soviet Russia, cock beats you.
Yeah, beat his ass. Oh, glory hole.
He's in Sordon, he's coming out of some sort of intergalactic glory hole.
Shut the fuck up.
Don't touch me. Oh, fuck. What? Don't look at me. Don't look at me. You saw nothing. I meant to do that.
Am I going the right way? Wait. No. I can't go up. Why can't I look up and go there? I'm trying. Oh, Ninja. Don't you dare. Speaking of British gangsters, I'm in the mood to watch Attack the Block. Isn't that movie great? British. No, I did not beat it. What up? Is Shaz still here, or is he? Oh, Rooster! What's up, man? I'm here. I had to go pee, and then I got up and I realized I was hungry. Never seen it. Attack the Block's good. Pretty good. It's got John Boyega in it, Nick Frost, the girl Doctor Who. I forgot her name. How are you? I've been busy. Dude, I've been busy too. That's why I haven't streamed in like 3 weeks. What's up, man? Oh, shit. How is you? I missed you, dude. I was actually gonna hit you up. I'm like, you alive, dog? I love you and I miss you. That's me. What's up? Never heard of him, LOL. Well, it's a really cool like sci-fi action horror. It's about like a bunch of thugs, these little hoodlums, you know, these little hooligans, and they're in a block, which is like I guess an apartment building, and there's like a alien invasion. There's a bunch of these feral monsters. It's dope. You should check it out. I loved it. I'm the paragon of quality here, okay? So, Rooster being busy. You can only jerk off so many hours. You underestimate a man's ability to jack off. Well, there's a will, there's a way. But, how you been, dude? I missed you. Are you gonna get, are you getting that Halo DLC for Helldivers 2? Also, welcome back, Paul. I started a bunch of random personal activities. I started on the guitar. Nice, dude. Oh, yeah. What's up, man? Vacationing husband and wife. The husband was successful. He's a 12th. Unfortunately, the wife was no good. So we'll have to just get rid of her. July 7th, 3 college girls. They're all rotten. Lucas is a damn idiot. August 13th, homeless man. Turned in 3 days. He's a 13th. $11.11. I wish a nigga would. What guitar though? Oh yeah, dude. Paul's legit like a guitarist. Don't you have like a music degree, Paul? Something cool like that. Mmm. Just like mom used to make. I want to get a checker C1, but I'm rocking a little acoustic right now. No, I'm just an amateur, but record some bad stuff. I'm sure it's wonderful. Just like you. Fuck, I need an item box. Sorry, I'm getting texts. What? 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 No. Oh, fuck. Okay. Oh, that was close, man. I was so scared. Oh, where's the map? Is this the map? No! Is there a map button? Ah, okay. So like metal stuff. It's good to hear from you, Rooster. I was literally thinking about you today. I was like, I should text him. Main hall. Yeah, I could go back and save. I probably should. I need another. There should be another fucking save room, you know? Paul, have you played this one? No? Oh, dang. I have it, never played it. And if I remember correctly, you want to get into Resident Evil, right? I think there's a safe spot right here. Yeah. You're... Alright. I like it okay, but my gaming time is kind of limited. Dude, I feel it. Mine has been pretty limited too, as I'm sure you guys have noticed. Oh wait, I think I actually need that one. Maybe not. I'm not quite speed running here. It just I think I cut that corner with the sewer gators thing at the beginning. Like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Oh, Paul, you like my cooking, right? Dude, I made a brujol with some pasta. It's really good. You just got a foster baby? In case 4 kids weren't taken. Dude, I didn't know that. How's that going? That's really cool, dude. Is there a story behind this one? Dear Courtney, those bastards are looking for me, but maybe this gives you a chance to escape. To escape, you have to find the relief shaped like dog heads. So one of the heads in the section room underground. Get it. It's the key to get out of here. Just as in 2 days, okay? So going okay so far? Okay. That's still nice though. That's really cool. Get mad respect. I'm actually kind of liking the Wesker gun. Maybe I should. Let me try not using the handgun for a bit. Let me try it. Because I think this is technically better than a handgun. See. Did you watch Signalis? Not all of it. I saw a lot of the bulk at the end, and then I saw the false ending, and then I stopped watching. Good to see y'all though. Dude, same. We missed you, man. You should show your face more often. So I can punch it. Ugh. I hope you've been doing well, dude. Busy is kind of a good thing, no? But no, Paul, I want to play Signalis, so I didn't watch a lot of his. I saw like 8% of his playthrough. Good thing I saved because I'm going to die here. I hope you're having fun, Shotty. I'm having fun. I hope you're doing okay. Are you still reading your book? Oh, I see him. Think, do I? No. Oh! Chicken jockey! Okay, I never saw that movie. I don't want to. Oh, damn, that was nice. I think that is a little more my style than RE. That's fair. It's connected. What? My battery dying? Oh. I'm not that far. But that's fair. Like I said, I think RE is for everybody. But if it's not your cup of tea, it's not your cup of tea. You're more into the indie scene, which I also respect. I was playing this one called Nightmares of Decay last night because I got fucking mad. And that one actually has some potential. I'm actually excited to check that one out some more. Also, I really like your shirt. Thank you. I wore this when I was hanging out with Bloody. We went to go watch Alien Earth. How's your book going? Fuck. Outside Hill 2. I'm not selling the new one. Dude, I'm so stoked for the new one. Like, I'm more intrigued than anything. I think it looks scary. I think it looks faithful. For F, yeah, 100%. I'm just curious more than anything. Like, I guess it's not in Silent Hill, but maybe it's not the only Silent Hill, if that makes sense. Book has been okay. I'm halfway done with it, so I'm gonna stick it out. I need to read more. I haven't read a book in like 2 years. Actually, the last book I read, actually that's a lie. I read a book last year. It was In the Blink of an Eye. It's about editing. Pretty good. Audie, what's the book? Lucas, I caught a guy who keeps trying to escape. I've locked him in the leftmost incinerator so he can't get away again. Take him out when he's ready. You know, open the door, don't you? Just remember, 3 A's and a handprint. Do what you want with the girl. Oh, wow. That's not nice. Three A's and a handprint. 1, 2. Academy for Large. It's kind of inconsistent and boring, but I'll read anything. Three A's and a handprint. Unless this counts as the A, so I'll put William back. Two handprint. Liam, Sean. Hi, dumb. Don't answer that. I'll be honest. Just now, you did not sell me on that book. What the hell is going on with my controller? I'm not that far. I'm gonna have a. If I end up dealing with this in the middle of a fight, I'm gonna have a bitch fit. A BF. Camera. Oh. There we go. Yep, there's a monster in there. Gonna happen. Yup. Fucker. I kill it? Okay. God damn. Good, you have taste. I don't. Hey, Paul, what was that book that you were telling me about? Like a nuke was about to go off or a bomb, and then somebody gets a boner? What book was that again? Explain the context. Alright, sorry. This pasta's really good. I made it. Of course it is. Okay. Sorry. Beverage Rainbow. You got the context right. I'm making note of it. I'm gonna read it. And it was good? It's a very difficult read. Calling me stupid? That's fair. Back to lurking, gotta go to sleepy soon. Alright, good night, Shouty. Glad you made an appearance. Fuck. Fuck. Stop missing. You guys ever bought anything from Alibaba? Such a weird process. I have not. Personally. What'd you get from there? Fuck. Yeah, I've heard of it, but I never actually used it myself. Have you ever had beef brujol? I made it my first time this past weekend, and I was pretty proud of it. Alibaba or the beef brujol? You get thin slices of beef. You can use top round or flat skirt, which I think is what's recommended. And then there's like this breading you get, Italian style breadcrumbs, fresh parsley, roasted pine nuts, a little bit of olive oil, beef bajouti, and then you you thin out the steak, and then you put the breading on it, and then you put some you don't have to, but I saw some recipes that do it. They'll add prosciutto, and then you roll it, and then you either twine it or you do the toothpick thing. You you pan sear it, and then you put it in beef bourguignon. I don't know. It's beef braccioli. That's how it's spelled. That's pronounced brajol. Google it. It's good. And make it. Oh fuck! Fuck. I would never make that. Sounds hard. It was fun. Ah, beef. It was good. I liked it. I saw it randomly, and I was like, I want to make it. So I looked up a couple recipes. I was not disappointed. Fuck. Grenade! Oh shit. Alright, hold on. Fuck. Alright, fuck! Fuck off me. The fuck? I know they can do that. I made this recipe yesterday, baked chicken and bread. I was proud of myself. I like chicken. This may come as a surprise to you. Fuck off and die! Jesus. Fuck. Sucks. Please die. I think I killed it. Okay. Oh man, that was rough. I almost died. Do I have a... Shit, I don't have a... Need the shotgun. Badly. Oh man, but strong chem fluid makes shotgun ammo if I'm not mistaken. Oh.
I was gonna be a father. Now she says he will be her father. No. I will find him, and I will make him suffer.
I play anything good lately, Paul? Are you still here, Brewster? Yup, yerp. Nice. I miss you, bud. Just chilling, waiting to fall asleep. That's how I feel. I'll probably play this for like a little bit longer. Finish this section, then probably call it. Disappointed, but at least this works. Please tell me this isn't where the boss fight is. This is where the boss fight is. I'm not ready for a boss fight, am I? I don't even have a shotgun. Missed you too, brother. Is that because I'm black? Just kidding. Alright, let's do it. Go bold or go home, right? I think this game actually has soft checkpoints. Like if I die here, I start here. If not, then I'll be upset. Dang. Oh, he's molded. He's molding. Do it. Oh, I do have space. Okay. I might die though. I don't think. Let's see. Gunpowder. Nice, nice. Actually, hell yeah. All right, this is where the fight starts. Let me get one more bite. Oh shit, there's a toothpick in there still. I almost died during that. All right, wish me luck, guys. Don't touch me. Shit. Fuck. Oh god, he's right behind me. Ah! Open the thing, dude. Stop following me. Oh shit. Alright. Fuck, I missed that. No. Oh wait, I tried to kick it. No! Tried to kick it. Get the chainsaw. Is it chainsaw time? Oh shit. Sick. Okay. Ammo, please. Nothing? Fuck you. Okay, he's doing it. Okay. And he goes, groovy. Yeah. I remember. Fuck, I tried to... Oh, shit. Nice. That scream for me. Wait, I'm stuck. Step bro. I'm trying to block. Am I dead now? I might be dead soon. Fuck you. Yeah, I died. Can I at least start here? Or are you gonna Resident Evil 1 me and make me start my last save? That'll hurt my feelings a little bit. I'll be better. I'll be good. Cool. Where were the chemicals though? Was it in here? Up there. Need a herb. Need a herb. Yeah, so it's not like you just click on something and buy. You have to send out a product request and wait for a bunch of suppliers to message you and then need chat to them to negotiate. That's fucking weird. Like, why don't you let me just give you the money and you just pay me? Like, why I gotta chat? I don't want to talk to anybody. That's weird, dude. Hope you got what you needed, though. Did you actually buy it off of them before? Or was this your first time? There's supposed to be an herb around here. Unless I'm just missing it. Let me check back in here. I guess not. I don't remember what that herb was. Might have some problems. 26-inch full suspension e-bike with a 13 AH battery that's hidden in the frame for 400 pounds. Is that a good deal? I think it's weird that you have to start a conversation with these people. Is it to like stop spam or bots? I don't know, I'd be annoyed. I'd be like, look, I don't want to talk. Just here's the money. Give me the thing. How much is an e-bike where you're at? I have no idea. I don't ride them. I know regular, like normal, like pedal bikes, those can get pretty expensive here. And then, just for the sake of it, dude, actually I am losing connection. I think I'm too far from my console. This is my first time dealing with this. Grab that. One more bite. Then I'll fight. I didn't mean for that to rhyme. Fuck. Fuck off. You bitch.
That's not groovy.
It's pretty groovy. Oh shit. Yeah. At least Jack's funny. Okay. I think we're doing all right here. Oh shit. Oh shit, okay, that was close. Oh, turn on. The chainsaw's dead. Okay. Oh no, the chainsaw is broken. Wait, fuck off, dude. Fuck. Ah, ah. Got him, okay. Oh shit, I'm gonna die again. Damn. This is easier on VR. Good, quit sucking. Good, good. Alright. Come on, game. Be nice. Take the ammo. Even the last time that was healing. Well, not last time, but the time before that, I'm pretty sure that was healing. What is that? Is that like a syringe? That's a clamp. Gunpowder down here. All right, wish me luck. I don't want to do this anymore. I know I do. I just wish I was in VR. bitch. Fucker. Yaputa. Wait, let me tell you something. Oh shit, dude. Saw it, dude. No. Fuck you. Take it. No. Okay. Fuck. I think I'm gonna die again. It sucks. I do it? I think I did it. Tight. He's already dead now, not coming back from that. Meanwhile, he comes back 3 times more in the story, I'm pretty sure.
Stay dead.
That's pretty cool though. He's like deflating and melting out. Welcome back, Jay. How's Fantasy Star Online going? Are you winning, son? Good. Hell yeah. Oh wait, no, I need that. I just turned it off. Nice. I love this game. This is a good game. It'd be better in VR, but it's okay. It's all right. Dude, I was really enjoying your stream earlier. The Final Fantasy Adventure. Was it Adventure or Legend? I keep forgetting. It's still, even now, I keep confusing them. Oh, well, I got the door thing, so now I gotta go. I'm enjoying the game way more than I thought I would. Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good. I'm glad you're liking it more, because I know you're not really into like Game Boy games and stuff. But what made you want to play it? Like, what put that on your radar? Oh yeah. Wait, just does he have a key on him? Oh, let me go back up there. I just have to backtrack all the way. Really recommended Secret of Mana, so I decided to do it. I don't know. Oh yeah. That actually does ring a bell. I'm curious on how you would handle Adventures of Mana. Like, I think you would like it, but you won't love it. I kind of hated it, to be honest. probably do them all the way up to. There's a new mana game, right? Not Trials. Was there one after Trials? Well, Trials of Mana is the remake of Seiken Densetsu 3, but you know what I mean. Like, I think there's a new entry, isn't there? Yeah, I own it. What's it called? TPs of Mana. I don't remember. Yeah, the last one I remember playing was probably Dawn of Mana. I never got to play Children of Mana, and then, like I said, I loved Sword of Mana. That game is great. And then Legend of Mana. That's a great one on PS1. Oh, I didn't think that would open. Icon has health. That works too. Processing map. Yeah! Give me that. Give me that jet dry. Gulp, 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 gulp. Okay, that's where I leave, which means there is more shit down here. Scorpion Key. I love that movie. Aku Vicente. Ah. Hide something nice here. Try to find if you can. There's a fireplace in that one room. Where the fuck is the shotgun? Fuck! Where are you going? Oh yeah. This works. This works well. Yeah, I gotta get the shotgun next for show. To it. Visions of Mana. Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds right. And fit this lock. Really? Oh. Shit. It's fine. No, it's fine. Grandma! Hi, Grandma. Mwah. All right. Yeah, I think I heard Visions are supposed to be pretty good. I'll be like fucking loaded on shotgun when I'm ready. I'll keep these. I'm about to head over there. Scorpion key. Is there a scorpion door? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and leads to the main hall. Okay, we're good. We're Gucci. Here we go. Scorpion King. Well, it's called the Scorpion Key here, but it's like literally like one continent away from Scorpion King. So I do like that movie. That's a good dumb movie. I'd say that's a fun one. Ah, stand alone. I'll get back in there, get my shit, and I'll leave. Best B movie with The Rock ever. I think every movie with The Rock's basically a B movie. Like Doom. But yeah, I agree. It's pretty fun. I'm gonna rewatch it. Since these games are kind of short, I'll probably do Secret right after Final Fantasy Adventure. Nice. Are they short? I don't really remember the runtime of them. What does how long to beat say? What does that say for 1 and 2? Yeah, looking forward to that. I played Secret of Mana forever ago. And I remember the remake came out, and then I realized it was like the Adventures of Mana remake, and I was like, fuck this shit. Fuck that noise. I'm out. Nope, wait, I didn't mean to do that. Or did I? Probably be half of it today. Nice. The first one is apparently about 10 hours. That's pretty good for an RPG. Given it's a Game Boy game, but that's good. Psychostimulants. Goes back for now. I do like this gun. It's stronger than a handgun, even though my accuracy sucks. My accuracy wouldn't suck if I was playing in VR, though. I'm salty about it. I'm being a little bitch about it. Cool. Tight. Nope, I meant to save, yeah. Alright, bye, Grandma. So grab me some tongue for me. You know, I already did, brother. Let me get that fucking shotgun. How do I get the shotgun out? I think I need the decoy, right? Where's the broken? Oh, I gotta go to Grandma's room. I gotta find Grandma's room because she has. That's funny. Yeah, she's got the decoy. Well, now that I'm not being chased by fucking Jack, let me actually go find that. The room was. Kids' room, Grandma's room. There we go. Yeah. Grandma's room. And they fucking hid this bitch way out here. Scorpion key. Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure. Boom. Boom. Yeah, I think there might be some hidden items in here. I don't remember. I'm tired of chasing these shitheads around the yard. The next time one of our guests runs away, hide the dog head relief so they can't get out of the house. Yeah. Ooh. Wait, where's the decoy? I thought there was a broken... Oh. Fuck, but now I need to drop some stuff off so I can even pick that up. Or can I combine? No. Do I need this anymore? Can I discard you yet? One more scorpion door. There's the... snake. Oh, do I have my lockpick still? Oh, I used it. Guys, what is that? Not a scorpion. Cash Cow. Thank you, man. How you doing? What it do, Jigaboo? Was good. Thanks, man. Thank you for the sub. 9 months. We have a little baby now. Appreciate you. I need more inventory space. I gotta drop some shit off. Best B movie with The Rock is Southland Tales, by the way. Is that the one with Sean William Scott? It's like almost like an anthology. You got any of that Up Dog? What's up, dog? How's it going, dude? How's your night going? Yeah, it's great. I don't remember. I remember seeing it. I don't remember what it's about. Isn't it like sci-fi? Isn't it like a secret sci-fi movie or something? Like Donnie Darko? One of my favorite Rock movies, I think is underrated. I liked Pain and Gain a lot. That was a fun movie. And The Rock was amazing in it. I feel like you would like that one if you haven't seen it. I like Pain and Gain. Nice. Yeah, I remember liking that one quite a bit. What do I want to get rid of? Let's get rid of the chemical for now. I'll be back. I'll be back. Is that enough? Oh yeah, I'll leave that. I'm strong. I'm big. I'm a doer. And then I remember after, because Dead Wolf and I saw that movie in theaters, and I remember after we left, I googled it, and I was like, damn, that movie's actually pretty accurate. It's the broken one? Yeah. Good night. Alright, good night. Hey, girl, you hungry? Peace out, Cash Cow. Appreciate you. Love you. Mwah. Fuck Tua. I say that as my friend, not as my manager. So I got a funny text. People who don't like this game are retarded. Yeah, I agree. This is a great game. This is probably one of the best Resident Evils, and it's probably the, like, since the OG trilogy, this is like the core Resident Evil experience distilled and updated, you know? It's great. But they're out there. They're out there. I think, good night, broski. Peace out, Deadwolf. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for hanging out. I think that, Ninja, you still here? Ninja, were you saying you don't like 7? I know you were saying you don't like the remake of 2. This just isn't how you conduct business, lol. Guy created an order for my bike, yeah, and didn't reply or pay straight away, and he's like, hello, are you there? Oh, so is he like spamming you? Refake of 2? Stop it! How dare you? Remake of 2 is so good. I understand, like I said, the zapping system isn't ideal, and I do see the frustration with having to shoot a zombie in the head 8 times with a handgun, but, you know, get the shotgun. Remake is excellent, but OG2 is definitely better. I kind of go back and forth. I like both. I like both. It's hard for me to choose. It's like trying to pick a favorite kid, which I think every parent actually does do. I saved, right? Let me see. Oh, I just saved. That's funny. Oh, no. Sorry, guys. I forgot I have shotgun ammo I need to get. OG2 is my favorite RE game. I think RE1 or RE1 Remake might be my favorite. Is Shrek in this game? Rin! What's up, Rin? How you doing, man? Everybody, I can't recommend this motherfucker enough. He plays lots of retro games. He's hilarious, and he's fun environment. Good streams. Check out Rin. How goes RE? It goes not 2D or not 3D or fucking, god damn it, not VR, but it's good.
Oh God, the crit! He critted me.
One of the best games ever made. No, I agree. Nice. This is Shin Megami Tensei 5, isn't it?
Critted me.
Mega Chad plays SMT. Followed. Yeah, dude, he's great. Give him a chance. Yeah, give him a follow. He's fucking awesome. Right now he's playing Metroid Fusion, and it made my day catching that. Did you beat SMT 5, dude? Yee. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think when I first started following you, you were either playing this or Remake of 1. I'm trying to remember, but it was definitely a Resident Evil game, and I was like, this guy's rocks. And you had the cool sock puppet avatar. I need to get back to it. I got sidetracked. Oh, dude, you're telling me, man. Sidetracked's my middle name. Dang, I have no inventory space. Hey, man, if that bike actually arrives, that's a bloody good deal. Well, I hope it works out, dude. Even though you're saying it's not the way to conduct business, but I hope it works out. I'm rooting for you. Damn it. Hold on. Let me go drop off everything else. Sorry, guys. I keep zigzagging. This is Resident Evil, baby. This is Resident Evil, baby. Middle of Breath of Fire 1 right now. Are you playing it with the much better translation? Or are you playing it like raw? Ooh, hell yeah. I need to get around the older ones. Oh, I've streamed SMT 1, 2, If, 3, and Strange Journey so far. Yeah, he's fucking rocking it. SNES raw! Gross. Right on, dude. I think I need handgun ammo right now, but I do need healing, so let's do this. And I'll go ahead and put this in there. And then I think I'm good. Okay. I've only played 4 Apocalypse and 5. Nice. Do you want to see the bike? Yeah, man, sure. Go ahead and feel free to post it in the Discord. Oh, wait. I think you left it. Just kidding. If you have a link or something, I can pull it up. Also, fuck. So I got my food here. I did, didn't I? LOL, I'm always doing that shit. No worries. It's an open door. You're always welcome back. Strange Journey took 85 hours. Did it really take you 85? And I just finished it a couple weeks ago. I'm taking a break before 4. Probably a good call. Fucking 85 hours, jeez. Alright, I think I'm good now. Hopefully. But you know what's funny? There is a locked door somewhere around here. Or was it? Main hall, monitoring room. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, one more time. Only because I need to know what's in there. Aaron has been caught. A weird name for a Pokemon. Yeah, it's the hardest so far. If you play the expanded Redux version, the last boss was insane. I think I caught that you... Like, I didn't get to see you actually finish it, but I think I caught it right after you did. Like that was when I chimed back in. Oh, it's this way. I love dungeon crawlers. I really do need to give Strange Journey a shot sometime. Yeah, people seem to love that one. The only SMT game I ever played was Nocturne. That's the only one I think I played. I think I technically started one, but I just didn't get very far. And then I played a lot of the Persona games. I'm in the middle of 1 for PSP right now. And it's good. Did I do that right? That was a sports ball reference. I'd say Strange Journey is my second favorite after Nocturne, but they're neck and neck. Nocturne was good. Nocturne was damn good. But I haven't played it since high school, so it was actually really cool watching you play through it. I was able to relive it vicariously. Con pie. Wait. I know this one. Con pie. Cheers. Oh, okay. Cheers. Ikidakimasu. What you drinking? You're still your tequila and your juice? Mm-hmm. Nice. Well, right on, brother. All right, let's go. Let's go. Oh, I see you. He holds the knife like what's her face in The Shining. You know, like like a little baseball bat. I swear you're supposed to send me something to my DMs, but I can't remember what. Yeah, what could that be? What could that possibly be? Steroids, stabilizer, Magnum, antique coin. Oh, look at this lovely family right here. It's too late for them. Itadakimasu. Hey, it's a bra. Sick. It's like that one part in Chappelle's show, and he's like, oh, titty residue. Let me say cum pie. I believe the term is cream pie. Welcome back. Fucking rooster. Welcome back. I like how that's what it took to get you to come back. Broken handgun. Oh no. My handgun. It's broken. You say cum pie, he's like, oh, like bloody hell. Roost is busy fapping. Stop it. I mean, I'm fapping right now, to be honest. I mastered the art of no hands. Hands-free fapping. Welcome back, bloody. My wiener senses were tingling. What does steroids do again? Does it increase my health? I forget. Increase max health indefinitely, and then stabilizer reloading speed. Take some steroids. I'm gonna do it for the lulz. Sup, Angel? Sup, Rooster? Sup, Jay? Sup, bloody? Got my secret cap. I'm always fapping. Right on, brother. Let's see. Let's do it. Do it. Steroids. Nom nom nom. Nom nom. I just use it like this. That's the stuff. That's the stuff. My body's feeling weirder and weirder. Soon I'll become like mom and dad. It's her fault. Should I run? No, I can't. I'm dead if she finds out. That woman was me. Oh, that woman with... Wait. The woman she was with, Mia, knows something. If I had the serum, I could cure myself. I have to find more. Nice shirt, Joey. Yeah! You're the second person to say that on stream. Hey, girl, hey. I take it off. Damn, I really have been gone so long. I'm back to viewing ads. Gotta fix that when I get paid. Poor Joey can't read good. Ooh, woo. I can read all right. At least I can type. I type like a boss. Wait, didn't she call me? I can save in here, can't I? Am I tripping? Did I already save in here? There's that, which I don't want to do right now. I might have to. Oh, there it is. I think I did save. No, I did not. It says main house. This ain't the main house. This made me laugh harder than it should, and for a second I felt bad, but then I remember Joey can't read this, so all is well. Fuck you. You type fast, but you mostly just the N-word over and over. This is true. That's my favorite word. My second favorite word is onomatopoeia.
You made it. You're the first I've ever seen make it this far.
So what is it you need me to do? Is it gonna help me get out of here?
Yes. Now listen carefully, Ethan. My family and our bodies are contaminated. I can't leave the property unless I get it out. And the same goes for Mia.
Is there a way to get it out?
We need the serum. It should clear
I like the pine nuts. That's what I'm looking for.
as long as you're not too far gone.
All right. So where is it?
If I knew where one was.
Here's a pass. It's cool.
Gone.
Yep, I was born with it.
My mother has hidden some inside the old house somewhere.
So if we get this thing, I can help.
Dry did that. I had to put him in the corner. He was slurping up nuts. Well, I'm off to bed. Alright, peace out, dude. Thanks for hanging out, man.
Alright.
Turning into a pumpkin. I should log off soon. Not 3 hours yet? I am at 3 hours. Well, peace out, bloody. I don't think it works like that. I don't know. I don't know why, but Hispanics can say it. Weird. I didn't know you like nuts in your mouth like that. They're pretty good. And it's good for you. Okay, I don't know. I don't know the nutrition of pine nuts, but I like them. I like them. Like them. Fuck. No. Supplements. What? Bro, I busted the fattest nut. Oh my god, wait, I wasn't ready. Alright, wait, go. Alright. Bro, I busted the fattest nut earlier. If I had better aim, I probably could have pressed my light switch in. Jesus Christ, dude. I come like Spider-Man and shooting web. I can swing from the ceiling with it. Nice. I'm like Blastoise. The fuck? Dude, the light switch got me. That was pretty good. I might have to steal that, actually. I'm trying to remember. There's like... I should be hitting the 1-2 combo from Iron Mike. Damn. You guys are cracking me up right now. Fuck! Well, it's a separating agent. I don't need that. Not yet, at least. Oh, yeah, that's right. I gotta go this way. So fucking screaming at chat. You guys are cracking me up. Helen Keller could see just fine before our date. Love it. Got my long distance girlfriend pregnant by coming out the window. You guys are on a fucking roll. Is she in Canada? Yeah, she's a model. Get the fuck out! Fuck off. Fuck off. Hurry up and die. Oh, got it. Backswing. Is this the one where she's like, get the fuck out? Nope. Oh, I need a flamethrower before I go in there, though. Fuck that noise. He's upstairs. Don't go up. I don't remember how to get through here. I did save, so I'm probably gonna die, which is fine. That's how we do. That's how we do. Oh, wait. Actually, fuck. I gotta drop these off. Sorry. I'm wasting my space. I came so hard once, it shot through the drywall and hit a squirrel outside. Not the kind of nut he was looking for that day. Well, it's a nut he got. Reminds me of that deleted scene from Hancock. Actually came walnuts. The squirrels were stoked. You guys are funny. guess I'll keep the scorpion key. I don't know. But as much as I'm loving chat right now, probably right out now. So 1 minute. Lame, I know. It's been 3 hours. It's 12:30. I gotta go to bed. My sleep schedule is not any better than it's ever been. Who's live? I will be streaming tomorrow. I probably won't finish it tomorrow, but for sure Monday, Wednesday. It's not a long game. Let's see. You guys want to watch some Final Fantasy VI? Who's streaming what? Yeah, we got Bradtastic. Fucking great stream. Thank you. Thank you. It would be better if it was in VR. But thank you. Encore. Keep it going, Joey. It was alright. Yeah, I'm with Jay. I can't. I gotta go. Let's see. What are you guys in the mood for? You guys want to watch Back to the Future? Yeah, we're rating Bradtastic. He's awesome. I can't talk about my rope shooting skills in other chats. I get banned. Maybe a 10 stream if it went for 2 more hours. I can't, dude. If it was Friday, I could. If it's tomorrow, I'll stream longer tomorrow. But I have shit tomorrow. And my boss is out, so I'm actually covering for him. I can't afford to be a zombie at work tomorrow. So, sorry. I'm still banned on Tofu's stream. Well, Tofu don't stream no more, so you're good. Worf. Is that Pinky? That's Pinky, right? Or is this Norf? The stream sucked anyway. But you don't watch for the skill. You don't watch for the games. No, I was kidding. I miss Tofu. She was hilarious. But yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah, we're gonna raid. Bradtastic. Tell him Shat sent you. He's a good dude. Give him a follow. Fun times. Raid Bradtastic Ninja. Jay, thank you for the sub again. It was really appreciated. Everybody else, thank you for hanging out. I love doing this when I have time. I'm glad you guys enjoyed yourselves for the most part, except Jay. Oh, I gotta fix that. Oh, that's only in this scene. That's only here. GG, no res. 360 no scope. Blaze it. 420. All right. The raid has begun. Yeah, 4, 5, 6, 8. Damn. 9. Hey, this is bigger than I thought. That's what she said. Bye, guys. Mwah. Take care, dude. See you, Rin. Yeah, check out this guy. He's awesome.